All right, guys. So I've been reading your comments and I can see a lot of very similar patterns. So for me, I'm just going to talk about my personal story. It was a lot of, and I think it was Lisa who was saying that you don't think that you learn anything at all about money. So it was Lisa. Okay, yeah. So a lot of the things that we learn are not by someone telling us the behavior, but about the perceptions that we make about how other people react or act about something. In other words, what I was saying before, I never heard my parents saying that money is not for people like us. They never said something like that. But I internalized that because of the conversations that they had led me to believe that money was for people who were better than us or for people who were born with money. Even worse than that, because I grew up in Colombia in the 80s, there was a lot of corruption and a lot of violence. So in my child's mind, I learned that money is for people who are corrupt, for people who are crooks, for people who are drug dealers. So there's a confusion in the way that you relate to money now. When I say you, I'm talking about myself. I'm not talking about you, Lisa, in particular. But there's confusion in how you behave about money and the way that you manifest it, because you want the wealth, you want the abundance, you want the freedom that comes with it. But the contradictory belief is, it's not for me. I have to become a bad person so that I can have it. It's hard to come by. You have to work hard for it. So there's that kind of like you're hitting the brakes with your, you're hitting the pedal, the gas pedal with your desires, but you're putting the brakes on with your beliefs. So it can come to you when you have that contradiction going on inside of you. And I hope that's clear, Lisa, and I understand where you're coming from, because a lot of my own beliefs, and I know that a lot of people that I worked with, is not specific things that they were taught or they were told. It's about their perception of them. And sometimes perception can be very, very subtle. For example, if I'm completely making it up. If I'm 3 years old and I'm going to grab a cookie that is on the counter. And as I reach my little hand to grab the cookie on the counter, and I looked at my mom and she glances at me and she gives me the squinty look. She probably is not even thinking about me grabbing the cookie, but my child's mind might interpret that as, I can have what I want, or I am upsetting someone that I love so that I'm not a good person, or I don't deserve the things that I want, or something like that. So it's your child's perception of the observation of the world that you're doing, not necessarily a lecture or a lesson that someone gave you, because we're all perceiving all the time, especially when we're children, we're always grabbing and grasping onto what we are experiencing around us. So I hope that makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to start sharing again, and thank you so much for the lively chat conversation. I love reading all your comments in there because I can relate to so many of those. So the thing right now is that we're all here because we want to open up the flow of money, right? But if you read through the chat and if you read through your own worksheet, do you understand the mixed signals that you're sending? So you're saying, yes, 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 I want that ice cream. Oh my God, I want that precious ice cream. It is so good. I want to eat my ice cream. But in the back of your head, you're saying, but what if they don't have my flavor? But I don't think I deserve it. I was bad today, so maybe I don't deserve ice cream. But I haven't had my vegetables today, so is my mom going to give me that ice cream? But maybe the ice cream has too many calories and I'm going to gain weight. So that is what's happening. It's like you have that desire to get that ice cream, but there's all this conversation and energetic signature going in the background that is not allowing you to get there. And a lot of it, so a lot of the stuff that you wrote in your worksheet right now is the conscious belief of something that's going on, but a lot of it goes in the background unnoticed, and we believe that it is just normal behavior because we're not questioning it. In other words, we're not being aware of it. So that's why I always said, and I think some of my clients laugh at me, because awareness to me is the #1 practice that you can start now and make it a big part of your day in order to shift your situation in any area of your life, whether you wanna call it finances, love, relationships, passion, purpose, work, when you become aware of who you're being in any moment in relationship to what you desire, you gain the choice to change it and to decide how you want it to go moving forward. So you are always a generator of energy signals. Each signal has a frequency. And if you don't know what those frequencies are, then you're going to be at the mercy of what those frequencies are running in the background, and you're not going to have the potential and the capacity to change it. But when you become aware, things start to flow just because you are exercising your power to decide how you're going to think and how you're going to move forward with whatever it is that you're pursuing in your life. So let me know if that makes sense. So this is a list that if you had a hard time, someone like Lisa, or if anyone else had a little bit of a challenge identifying what some of the things that they learned in early childhood were. So I have a beautiful list of my favorite ones right here. So money is a struggle was a big one for me. There isn't enough. Things are too expensive. Being rich is not for people like us. You have to work hard for money. Money doesn't grow on trees, and so on. And one of my favorite ones that I forgot to write it here is I can't afford it. That was a big one for me. And sometimes it continues to play out in my head that I go somewhere, say grocery store, and I see something. Most of my greatest awarenesses happen at the grocery store. An amazing place to grow. When you go to the grocery store and you see something that you want and the price just went up, or it's something new that you want to try and it's too expensive, the first thought that comes particularly to my mind is I can't afford it, even though I have the money in my bank account, I have the room in my credit card, I have the money in my purse, but it's like that automatic thought, that automatic response that goes immediately to I can't afford it without too much thought. So there's a lot that runs in the background. So just imagine, just look at your worksheet or look at the slide that you have in front of you, and just imagine if this is the lens through which you're looking at abundance in your life. Do you think you're attracting it, or do you think you're repelling it? I'm just going to take a look at the chat to see what you guys are saying. Money is a tool like a screwdriver. Learning how to use it is key. I love that, Dennis. Completely agree with you. I will study every last one of these. I hear you. These are so true, Margaret. I hear you too. Yep. Repelling. Yes, absolutely. And that's where I was a few years ago, guys. So there was a time in my life. So I'll tell you a little bit more about my story, which I wasn't planning to, but this is just coming to mind. And I usually just go with what my intuition is telling me to share. But when I moved to Canada, so that was the year 2000. And for me to move to Canada, so just a girl who grew up in Colombia. I didn't grow up in poverty, because that would be a disservice to say that, but I grew up in lack, meaning my parents always had just enough to pay for our education, just enough to feed us, just enough to get the things that were needed in the house. It was never like, let me go on vacation 3 times a year, let me buy the nice things just because I want them. It was always that, just like, I just don't know if I have enough. So that's the way that I grew up. When I moved to Canada in the year 2000, I literally sold everything that I owned, which wasn't much. I was still living at home with my parents. Out of the money that I got, I paid all my debt, which thankfully wasn't that much because I was still living with my parents. So I didn't have a lot of expenses, but I paid all that. And I thought I had a huge load of money to move to Canada. However, when you convert from pesos to dollars, I sadly only had $400 in my pocket, and that's all I had to move to Canada. I lived on welfare for I don't know how long, until I was able to get a job. And then I think that was about the time when I started to learn about energy and the universal laws, and the way that abundance is your birthright, and that we have access to everything that we want. That's when my journey started to change my life, to the point that, please understand that I'm not saying this to boast or to brag or anything, but I've gotten to the point that I can take multiple vacations a year. I actually just came back from France last weekend, and that's one of the reasons why the date for this workshop was this week, because last week I was in France, and that was a trip that was just like we just planned it out of the blue. I went to Jordan last year. I went to San Martin last year. And I'm just saying that having money has allowed me to express my passion, and my passion is to travel. For other people that might be, volunteering in places or being of service is big for me too. But money allows you to express yourself and see the things that you didn't have a chance to see without it. So it's just a tool that we can use for self-expression. It's just a tool that we can use for service, and it's just a tool that we can use just to enrich our lives. And I think someone said in the chat that money doesn't equal happiness, and it absolutely doesn't. But it helps you expand in a way that nothing else can, because it is the currency that as society we have accepted to trade, right? So I was talking to one of my clients once, and they were asking me if I didn't think that money was bad for people who were spiritual. And my comeback to that was, just imagine how many people you could help if you had more money. Just imagine how many organizations or charities you could donate to if you have more money. Just imagine the type of changes that you could do if you had more money. Actually, in fact, it was funny because one of my biggest desires in life has always been to sponsor a student. And I always thought that that's going to be too much. I don't have the money. I can't do it. And just a couple of weeks ago, I was actually to sponsor a student in Colombia. And I always thought that it was going to be a huge ass amount of money. And when I ended up doing the math for this nursing course that she wanted to take, the student in Colombia, it ended up being $200 in Canadian currency. And I'm like, so grateful to think that I can influence someone's life in such a positive way. And the one thing that kept nagging me is like, why didn't I do it before? This is a desire that I've had for so many years. So money just allows you to self-express and to change the world in the way that you want to change the world. It is very unique to everyone. And that's one of the things that I love most about it. So when we learn to use it, we're going to be enriching not only our world, but everyone else's life. So as I was saying before, the interesting thing is that a lot of these beliefs go unnoticed. They run in the background and we're not aware of what they are. But when we decide that we want to unravel and up level our money game, we start to notice these things, and it's going to become a lot easier to start changing them. So I am here to tell you that you have more power of influence over your life, business, and abundance than you give yourself credit for. And I'm just saying that out of my own personal experience. I mean, I never imagined that coming to Canada with $400 in my pocket was going to bring me to the place that I am right now. So it is your time to start exercising that power and bring out all the magnificence that you are, because it is available for you as well. So I want you to pay close attention to this slide, because this is something that I absolutely love. How you think, feel, and behave about money determines your relationship with it. How you think, feel, and behave about money determines how it flows to you. So I always talk about money in terms of relationships. And why is that? Because you are having a relationship with it. So I want you to think, how do you treat money? And when I say treat money, it's not just like, well, of course I love money. I want to have money. I want money. It's more like, think of every instance in which money plays a role in your life. So it's receiving it, spending it, investing it, and giving it away. Those four things: receiving it, spending it, investing it, and giving it away. Right? Because it's not just about receiving money, it's how you relate in every instance of money. So if money was this beautiful, cherished person that you love and want more of, how are you treating it? So think about this. Someone knocks at your door. You're having the best day ever. You're outside in your backyard drinking champagne, and life is peachy and beautiful. And you're like, fuck my life. I can't believe I manifested all this. Life is great. And someone knocked at your door, and you went to the door, and someone hands you a $10,000 bill. How does that feel? And I love that example because that is the best interpretation of how you feel about money and how you treat money, right? Most people would say, oh my God, I'm going to freak out. I don't have the money now. I have to spend this money. I just made this money. And now you tell me I have to pay $10,000, all the things, right? And it is in those moments when you actually learn what your relationship with money is. So how are you treating it? Oh, now I have to let it go. Oh, now I have to pay something. Oh, it's so unexpected. So it is in those moments of reactions that you practice that awareness to go, wait, if this is how I'm feeling about it, if this is how I'm treating it, that's why I have the results that I have. And that's your opportunity to up level and upgrade. And we're going to be talking about up leveling and upgrading in day 2 and day 3. But for today, we're just going to be talking more about awareness. So like, how do you feel when bills come? And it doesn't have to be the $10,000 bill, but like your cable bill. I don't know if anyone has cable anymore, but you know what I mean? Your Wi-Fi, your internet, your winter tires, your insurance, your gas, whatever it is. How do you feel when you sit down to pay those bills? And that's going to tell you a lot about the energy that you're putting out for money. So we live in an attraction-based universe. Everything is responding to your perception of it. So how you are perceiving the world around you is the energetic signature that you're putting in the world for you to get the feedback about the things that you're manifesting. So how you're feeling and viewing and behaving about life is going to be determining the results that you're getting in the future. So having that awareness of what your perception is going to be key for anything that you do. So now that we know that everything is responding to your perception of it, whether you're aware of it or not, the key thing is to know what your rules are, right? So I love to call my beliefs my rules because, and when I say my beliefs, I mean my new beliefs, the things that I believe in now, not the old ones that I grew up with, because those rules are what start to manifest when I became aware of them. I solidified them in my perception, and now they became a part of who I am because I am upgrading from believing something that wasn't conducive to my growth to believing something that is going to get me what I want. So one example that I want to give you around here is, again, when we're talking about strategy in the business, right? Someone doing strategy A and someone else doing strategy A the same, and they're going to get different results, right? So there's a family member that I have that they save a lot of money. They constantly save, and I save as well. I love saving and I love investing mostly. But when you look at the energetics of it, what's behind the action of saving is completely different from both of us. They save from a place of fear. And we've had this conversation, I've had this conversation with this person many times. They save from a place of, I don't know who's going to take care of me in the future. I don't know if I'm going to be able to retire with a good pension. I don't know what the future holds. What if I end up decrepit or in a very bad physical condition? I need that money. I, on the other hand, say from a place of, I want to enjoy my life in the future as much as I enjoy it now. I want to be able to continue to travel the world. I know that I'm going to be in good health when I'm older, so I want to use this money for experiencing every single thing that I want to experience. So you see what I'm talking about? It is the energy and how you feel, how you think, and how you behave that is going to allow the flow. So I'm not saying that having a different type of energy behind savings or behind anything that you're doing is a bad thing. But if you're doing it from an automatic place, you're letting the old programmings run your life rather than you deciding how it is that your life wants to go. So as you shift the way that you see money and you relate to it, you start to perceive it as a neutral resource. And someone said that in the chat, and I loved that because that's just what it is. It is a neutral resource that is here to serve you, that is here to enhance your life, that is here to make your life better. But it is up to you to decide how you use that resource and how you perceive it. And as you sustain that new way to see money and to relate to it, more money has to show up in your experience. I'm going to pause 1 sec to read the chat because I see that there are a lot of comments and I just want to make sure that I'm not missing anything. Looks like we have all learned to chase money, but not to attract it. Chasing is actually an act of ego, Dennis. It is an act of ego when you're chasing something. When you are chasing something, the signal that you're sending is that you don't have it yet because you're chasing it. If you had it, you didn't have to chase it. And we're going to talk about that later. I can see that, okay, gratitude, absolutely. Money goes faster than it comes in. That's what I think. Okay, that's just a rule that you've made up for yourself, Sarah, and we can turn that around. And it's actually not that hard to turn that one specifically around. Paying bills, depressing, okay. I feel awful because I don't have enough. Okay, if you hear something, oh, that's Jackie. Okay, awesome, awesome, awesome. So I love that you guys are sharing because that actually helps me to know how to direct the conversation. So awareness is everything, and stop me if you've heard that before from me, because that is dope. Awareness is the basis of any type of shift or transformation that you want to create in your life. So let's talk about changing habits, right? Because everything is a habit. All of the things that we've been talking about, meaning the beliefs and the childhood history and the learning the thoughts and the behavior, those are just habits of thoughts, habits of reactions that we have. So when you think about changing a habit, say that you're changing, you want to go to the gym every day, or you want to work out more, you want to eat healthier, you want to be nicer to your kids, you want to be nicer to your spouse, and let me know. Just think about any habit that you've attempted to change in the past, and let me know if you were able to change that. And if you did, and that's completely okay if you didn't, but if you did, tell me what was the determining factor for changing that habit. And I'm just going to be watching the chat in a second, but I'm just going to keep going and see if you guys are sharing more. And I'll give you my personal example, which is an example that I absolutely love. Years ago, one of my friends got sick, and she was badly, badly sick, and she was left-handed. And I decided at the time, and we had a group of friends, and we were all helping her and supporting her, and we were all doing things to cheer her up. One of the things that I decided to do was to learn to brush my teeth with the left hand. And it was fucking hard. Hard. I had no idea that we were so habituated to just use the right hand for something like that. I hurt my gums so many times. I hurt the roof of my mouth so many times, and it was just unreal how difficult it was, but I kept at it. And sometimes I would fall off the wagon and forget. If I came home drunk, completely forgot about it. It's like, oh shit, I gotta brush my teeth with the left hand, and I'm midway already. Might as well. It was just like I got shit show. But I eventually learned to brush my teeth with the left hand, and it was all because I wanted to honor my friend. And to this day, so it's been like, I don't know, 3.5 years, and I still brush my teeth with my left hand. My right one is still more proficient at it, but I kept the habit. So what made me successful at changing the habit was the consistency and the focus that I had. And we're going to be talking about that more later. But what I want to focus about right now is, why is change so difficult? And I'm going to explain this to you, how I learned it from Dr. Joe Dispenza. He's one of my favorite authors and people in the entire world. I've actually been to a couple of his retreats, and they're absolutely life-changing. So we have addictions of the body, and we have addictions of the mind. The addictions in the body are basically, and I'm going to explain this in very simplistic terms because that's how I understand things better. So I hope I'm not dumbing it down for some of you, but I like simple, practical, easy. That's how I operate in the world. So your body and your mind are interconnected. Your body, contrary to popular belief, is emitting more signals to the brain than the opposite way around. So your brain and your body are communicating constantly. The body sends more signals to the brain than the opposite way. However, your brain is very good at producing chemicals. The chemicals that your brain produces are distributed in the body when there are signals that tell the brain that the chemical is needed. For example, if you are in traffic and someone cuts you off and you feel like, that fucking asshole cut me off in traffic, you're going to emit a signal that goes to your brain. Your brain goes, we are frustrated, impatient, in anger, hating, I'm going to produce the chemicals that match that signal, and I'm going to send them to the body. And that's how you feel your emotions in the body. So it's not just your body feeling randomly, it is your brain matching the signal that you're emitting and feeding your body that. So when you are practicing the same type of situations over and over again, and when I mean situations, I mean the ones that have any type of emotional reaction from you. So if you are constantly practicing hate or frustration or impatience or boredom or depression or whatever it is that you experience on a regular basis, your body creates that addiction to the chemicals that the brain is sending to it. And those addictions are very hard to break, and they are real. They're just like, I mean, they're scientifically proven that all these chemicals create that addiction in the body, right? And that's one of the reasons that when people are on antidepressants or anxiety medication, they have such a hard time weaning off of them, because the body becomes addicted to those chemicals that the pill is giving them, right? And it's exactly the same when it is your own brain producing these chemicals. Your body is highly addicted to the chemicals that the brain produces. So that's why it is so different to create change, because your body is going to want to go back to the old chemicals, to what it's used to. It's like, give me my fix. I need my adrenaline now. I need my cortisol for my stress. I need my hateful chemical. I need all those things. And an addiction of the body, it can be equally strong as any addiction to alcohol or any other substances. That's one of the reasons why it is so hard to break. And the addiction of the mind is just the addiction of the thoughts that we have. I'll give you an example. My mom, bless her heart, love the woman. I get along with her really, really well, but she is so addicted to criticizing my father, so highly addicted to everything in life is my dad's fault. Everything in life is his bad doing. He is just useless. He is this, seeing all the wrong things about him. One time I actually challenged her to go 24 hours without criticizing my dad. She didn't make 2 hours. It is that hard of an addiction for her. However, the addiction of the mind is easier to break than the addiction of the body, because it's not a chemical that you're addicted to, it's just a thought. So it's still a strong addiction, but it's a little bit easier to wean off of. So those are the two main reasons why it is so difficult to break a habit. So how do you actually break that addiction, or how do you actually go into long-lasting change if it is so difficult to break the addiction, right? So the number one thing is awareness. I'm going to say it 1,000 freaking times, because that is your starting point for everything. But once you start to become aware, so awareness is going to help you identify those thoughts. Awareness is going to help you to identify those patterns. And once you have those identified, then when the addiction kicks in and you realize that is the old self acting, thinking, reacting, that's when you decide that you're going to be greater than those chemicals, that you're going to be greater than the old thoughts, and that you're going to be greater than the old self. And you step above those, and you actually are able to change the chemical reaction in your body and move on. But what that takes is focus and consistency, because if you only do it once, it's not going to do much to you. It is the consistency of the changing behaviors that is going to help you habituate it. It's like me brushing my teeth with the left hand when drunk, when tired, when I kind of forgot in the middle of it, when I didn't feel like it, when it was too difficult, when blah, 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 when hardest one, when you change toothbrush to a new toothbrush, is like, oh, I don't even know how to deal with the old one. Now you want me to do a new one. So it is the consistency to step up with the habit and keep the new habit and become greater than it that is going to help you there. So awareness is going to be key, because awareness is going to wake you up to the old so that you can practice the new. And the last thing is just reparenting ourselves, right? Because all of these addictions were created in the first few years of our life. So our personality was created from ages 0 to 7, and that's when we are observing and soaking everything up like a sponge, and that's where we're doing most of our learning of all these thoughts and patterns of behavior, right? So when you reparent yourself, what that means is that you're going to become that person that is teaching you better. You're going to become the father or mother that you didn't have. And that doesn't mean that your parents were bad or anything like that. It just means that now, as the aware person that you are, you're going to feed yourself what you need to turn your situation around. So true change lies in training the body to feel better and training the mind to think better. And I'm just going to pause 1 second to see the chat and let me know if that is making sense. Speak up more. I'm getting better at it. Good to make. I love that. I used to go to the gym several times a week. I wanted to be stronger, so I didn't need knee braces or walking cane. It didn't make a difference. After months of going, I felt no difference. So no difference. I was gutted. I spent so much time. I made no difference. I ended up getting a dog. Oh my God. I love that. Just having the dog made a difference. Change, consistency, and focus. Thank you, Jackie, for that. I quit smoking cold turkey. Good for you. I've been smoke-free for 4 years now. My dad always said that smoking was the easiest thing in the world because he says, you quit today, you quit next week, you quit the following week, you quit. He just made a joke of that because he had a very hard time quitting. Be humble with what you have and people will stop asking you to borrow money. It works. But becomes addicted to the brain chemicals. I prove of that. I've tried to develop a habit of getting up, existing in the water, exercise. I have failed miserably. Beverly, keep at it because I know you can do it. But what we're going to be going over today, tomorrow and the next day is probably going to help you with that. Because I mean, you can replace money or abundance for anything that you want in your life, right? It's just money is a pattern that is more ingrained in us. It's because it's the currency that we've accepted as a society to exchange services for. It becomes a little bit more sticky for us to deal. So reparent, Lisa, it is when you, as the adult that you are today, you become aware of all these thoughts and behaviors that you've adopted in your life. So when you have that awareness of what's making up that personality of you, you're able to decide what it is that you want to become now. I shouldn't have said what, who you want to become now. And you start giving to yourself those things that you didn't have as a child. In my case, for example, one of the things that I learned is that I couldn't have the things that I wanted. And that came a lot from the things that I was getting. So when we were at Christmas time and we were doing, you know, like, this is what I want for Christmas and yada, yada, I never, ever, ever got what I wanted. And I mean, I know that it sounds like a bratty kid to say that, but when you're a kid, you don't understand that your parents probably don't have the money to get you the things that you want. So in my mind, I learned that I just don't deserve the things that I want. I have to settle for less. I have to get the other doll, not the doll that I wanted. So when you identify those patterns, you start to nurture within yourself those new beliefs that you want to have. So I keep telling to myself that I am deserving, that all the things that I want and desire are available to me, that I am loved by God, by the universe, by spirit. And I reparent myself in that way, meaning giving myself the beliefs and education that I didn't have when I was a kid. Let me know if that makes sense. If not, I'll try to explain it in a better way, but that's what it is to me. It's just like becoming that authority figure now, and becoming that authority figure that I didn't have when I was growing up. Okay, so let's just get our worksheet out for question number 2. So one of the things that I want to talk about now is that you are making the rules of your life as you go. And as I said before, the rules are basically your beliefs. But the new ones, the ones that you actually want to start practicing, I love calling them the rules, because calling them a beliefs just seems like a little bit like the old. And this is just me. You can call them whatever you want. But you are the one making up the rules of your story as you go. So like, just like the example that I was giving Lisa now, that my new rule is that I am deserving of everything that I desire and it is available to me. The old belief was, I don't deserve the things that I want, I have to settle for less. So you decide what it is that you want to believe about money. You decide what it is that this relationship looks like. You decide how the story goes, because now you have the awareness that you can change and shift as you go. So a lot of us have been making up our own rules, but we do it unconsciously. And when we make up a rule, it's basically we're just regurgitating the old ones. I can't afford that. I don't have enough money. I have to work hard. Of course it worked. This was a big one for me. Of course it works for other people, but not for me. Of course everyone can manifest what they want, but not me. Of course this is true. It is real. Manifestation is real, but it just doesn't work for me. That was a big one for me. So we are regurgitating the old. It is time for us to create the new. So we have been reacting to the environment around us, right? So who in here hasn't heard or has not participated in a conversation that involves any type of inflation or prices or gas prices or grocery prices or anything like that? Let me know in the chat, because that's all the talk that is happening right now, right? Gas prices are high, inflation, grocery prices, all that stuff, right? And as valid and as real as it is, if you observe how you are reacting and behaving in those conversations, then you'll know that, and I'm not talking about any of you specifically, but in general, as the humankind, we are reacting to that rather than deciding how we want to feel. So we give into the fear. We give into the fear. We think that, oh yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford groceries or pay my bills because inflation and all these. Oh yeah, gas prices keep going up. Oh yeah, the war in Russia and the Ukraine is bringing the prices up. And I don't mean to bring any type of condescending or disrespectful meaning to the war. I'm just bringing to your attention that we are reacting to what's going on around us rather than deciding how we're going to think and how we're going to react to those external factors that we have absolutely no control over. The only thing that we can manage is how we feel and how we think about them. So it is time for us to see the changes in our reality. It is time for us to start deciding what we want to create. So what I'm going to invite you right now is to grab your worksheet, go over the number 2 question, and decide how it is that you want to create your relationship with money. So I'm going to give you a few of my examples. So let me stop sharing so that Jackie can put the music on. Oh, stop share. Okay, so some of my examples is that money loves me and I love money. I am nurtured by money. I can have everything that I want. Everything that I desire is available to me. I just have to tune into it. I am a goddess. I am a queen, and I am deserving of everything that I want. So start thinking about how you want to have this relationship with money. You are the creator right now. You decide how it wants to, how you want it to go. Okay, so as you guys are going over that, I'm just going to read the chat, and if there are any questions, I'm just going to start answering them. So RAS, R-A-S, Wendy, reticular activating system. So what your RAS is when you want to buy a car, and say that you want to buy a Lexus, and I'm just randomly saying this, and you want to buy a red Lexus, and that's the car that you want. And all of a sudden, all the cars that you see on the road are a red Lexus, and you're seeing a red Lexus 2 or 3 times a day, because that's what's activated in your RAS. So your RAS is the system in your body and your perception that is going to start tuning into what you want. And it's going to start making notes of the things that you're practicing. So the more that you start noticing the things that you want, the more that your RAS is going to be forward. You're going to start manifesting those things. I hope that makes sense. You're welcome. So let me know how that felt. And if anyone wants to share a couple of their new rules in the chat, I would love to hear what you came up with. Cartwell, I will change my relationship with money by focusing on making money work for me, investing, buying stocks and income, producing real estate. If I can borrow money cheaper than the return on the money, I'm in. Perfect. Just remember that it's all about perception, and you can change your perception about anything. That is an ability that only human beings have. Animals don't have the ability to focus and to change perception. We do. And that is one of our superpowers. So when we are able to do that, we are able to shift our entire world by just going 1 degree different, 1 degree different, 1 degree different. It's just about the micro shifts that we can have daily that is going to get us to what we want. It's not the big leaps, although anyone can have a big leap. But when you're focusing on the micro shift, on the micro shift, on the micro shift, that's what's going to get you there. Princess Vic, new perception. I have more than enough money to pay all my bills and buy whatever I want with gratitude. I love that, especially the part about gratitude, because gratitude is the ultimate state of receivership. I love that. Perfect. Okay, so let me continue to share. We only have a couple of slides, so we're gonna be ending soon. But I am loving the awarenesses that you guys are having right now. So now you have a new set of rules that your life wants to go by. And in day 2 and day 3, we're going to be walking through what's necessary to start practicing those rules so that you actually solidify them and internalize them in your world. So everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. It is not philosophy, it is physics. That's something that Albert Einstein said. And I absolutely love that, because I wholeheartedly believe that everything that we want is already available. The fact that we can't see it doesn't mean that it's not already available for us. It's just a matter of us attuning to it and receiving it. And I know that a lot of conscious creators and people teaching manifestation talk about the word attraction and attract, and I use it all the time as well. But if you get to the depth of it, it's not even about attracting. It's just about receiving it, because it's already there. It's not even about creating it, although I use the word creating for the ease of the conversation, but it's already there. All you have to do is tune into it, change your perception about it. And when you can change your perception about it, you can create it and attract it into your world. So what's in store for tomorrow? So what we're going to be talking about tomorrow is your energetic signature. So we talked about awareness and how you create and the addictions of the body and the mind today. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about your specific energetic signature that you're sending out into the world, how to fine tune it, how to change it, and how to start practicing something better. So I am super, super excited to have you guys back tomorrow. I hope you all can make it. And I think that everyone noticed that I kind of fucked up at the beginning and I didn't start recording from the start. So what Jackie and I are going to do is we're going to send you this recording, which is like, I think it started at the half-hour mark. And we're going to be sending you last month's recording of day 1 if you want to catch the beginning for someone who wasn't able to tune in from the start. We went pretty much over the exact same presentation, so you're not going to be missing anything different if you watch the replay from last month, and you're going to be having everything else from 4:30 on for this one. So my bad, I apologize. I'll pay more attention tomorrow. And thank you so much for everyone for being here. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.